Palestine stands at the Mediterranean end of the Fertile Crescent. Since antiquity, its hills, plains, and valleys yielded wheat, olives, grapes, and citrus sought after in markets from Damascus to Alexandria and beyond. Wars came and went, plagues swept through, empires rose and fell, yet the fellahin, the peasant farmers, endured. Rooted in the soil like the ancient olive trees they tended, their genetic lineage unbroken since the days of Bronze Age Canaan. After the Ottoman Tanzimat reforms, the population across the Levant began to rise rapidly, driven by falling infant mortality and one of the highest birth rates in the world. Palestine's Arab population increased from 350,000 in 1850 to more than 500,000 by 1895, even as thousands left for the Americas. Around 50,000 emigrated, yet the birth rate was so high that, despite being a net exporter of people, the population still grew rapidly. By 1914, nearly 700,000 Palestinians lived in the land, their numbers rising, their villages expanding, and their emigrant kin planting roots across Latin America. Expanding infrastructure, from new railways linking Haifa and Jaffa to the booming export economy of citrus, olive oil, soap, and grain, anchored the demographic rise in Palestine. It was not just the population growing rapidly. Agricultural exports were growing at a blistering pace. The crown jewel of Palestinian agricultural export was the Jaffa orange. Mark Twain wrote, "We came finally to the noble grove of orange trees in which the oriental city of Jaffa lies buried." Jaffa oranges for export came from large irrigated groves developed by Arab merchants around Jaffa from the 1840s to 1870s. After 1880, official returns show the scale. About 171,000 cases in 1881, rising to around 1.6 million by 1913, with Jaffa the principal export port. The London Daily News wrote in 1870, "The oranges of Jaffa are esteemed the finest in the Levant, and the demand from abroad increases with each successive season." Mark Twain wrote in The Innocents Abroad that the valley of Nablus was under high cultivation, and the soil is exceedingly black and fertile. It is well watered, and its affluent vegetation gains effect by contrast with the barren hills that tower on either side. In those green valleys that so impressed Twain, the fellahin cultivated wheat, barley, and lentils, with orchards of figs, grapes, and mulberries climbing the lower slopes. Irrigated plots near the springs yielded vegetables for the town markets. To Twain's untrained Missouri eyes, the limestone hill country, by contrast, looked barren and dry. But the landscape was deceptive. This was olive country. Its ancient trees fed more than 40 olive oil soap factories in Nablus in 1880 and sustained a lucrative export trade. British consular tables compiled by Schultz show that between 1860 and 1880, Jaffa exported an average of about 1.9 million liters of olive oil each year. There was a sharp, late-century boom in the olive oil soap trade in Palestine. Between 1876 and 1882, exports through Jaffa rose from just a few hundred tons to nearly 10,000 tons a year, the equivalent of about 4 to 5 million liters of olive oil. By the 1880s, soap, rather than oil, had become the dominant export form of Palestine's olive harvest. In these rocky hills, where outsiders saw desolation, the fellahin built one of Palestine's most productive economies, generating as much agricultural income as the green valleys below. By the 1890s, Gaza barley had become a premium brand in Britain, with some 35,000 tons shipped annually to feed the empire's brewing trade. The ale flowing from British taps was, quite literally, made from the harvest of Gaza. From the 1890s until 1910, this barley trade was worth even more than Jaffa's oranges. Only later did the citrus boom surge ahead. A visiting British missionary described Gaza as a very ocean of wheat, The fields would do credit to British farming. William McClure Thomson, an American missionary who spent over 40 years in Syria and Palestine, proclaimed on seeing Gaza, "Wheat, wheat, a very ocean of wheat." And finally, we come to the great Marj ibn Amir, the ancient plain of Esdraelon in the Jezreel Valley. Famous as the region's granary since the days it sustained the powerful Bronze Age Canaanite city-state of Megiddo. The Jezreel wasn't an export zone like Gaza or Jaffa. It was Palestine's breadbasket, the valley that fed the country. Bayard Taylor, in 1850, described the Jezreel in his book, The Lands of the Saracens. It is one of the richest districts in the world. It is now a green sea, covered with fields of wheat and barley or great grazing tracts, on which multitudes of sheep and goats are wandering. Mark Twain and countless other travelers were equally impressed with the valley. In the 19th century, Palestine was anything but empty. Its ports shipped an agricultural bounty across the Mediterranean and into Europe. Its hillsides shimmered with olive terraces, and its valleys rolled with seas of wheat and barley. Genetic research now confirms what history always showed. The fellahin who worked that soil were not newcomers, but the living continuation of the land's ancient peoples, tilling the same fields their ancestors had farmed for 5,000 years. The Palestine that existed before the Zionist colonizers arrived was no void to be filled. It was a nation in all but name, alive in its fields, its towns, and its unbroken connection to the land. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you would like to see more content like this.